Hi, Ross Patterson here, one of the FieldPartner leaders, along with Christine and Brad. I want to do just a short 7-minute teaching on how do you become a mission-sending church? How do you become a cross-cultural church that actually sends people out? And I don't take that for granted. It's something God has to do in us, but there are some practical steps. So 2 quick comments. Number 1, I'm just giving you the skeleton. Another time when we get into a series on this, we'll put some flesh on it. So this is just bullet points. Number 2, you may say, Ross, why didn't you mention this? Why didn't you mention that? Or more politely, you might say, I found this really helpful. So do get in touch with us. ask@fieldpartner.org. Come to our website, the FieldPartner website, and talk to us. Talk to us about secrets you found. So again, how does a church become a cross-cultural church? Number 1, I'm going to 7 quick points. Number 1, it gives equal emphasis to the 4 areas of Acts 1:8. Jesus said, you'll be my witnesses in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. Jerusalem would be the city I live in. Judea would be the country I live in. Samaria would be countries similar to mine. China, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, England, Scotland, whatever, or if we do Britain, maybe France, but you might argue about that. America, Canada, whatever. Similar but different. And then finally, the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth is everywhere else. Different language, different culture, different weather, different everything. Now, my point is this. Jesus said, he didn't say 50, 70, 80% Jerusalem, 1%, which is actually what it gets sometimes, ends of the earth. 25% each. Number 1, all 4 regions. Number 2, leaders need to be involved in it. In Acts 13, when the Holy Spirit fell as they worshipped and fasted, the Holy Spirit said, set apart Barnabas and Saul for the work to which I've called them. What a model he gave, the Holy Spirit gave. The 2 main leaders of the church, were to go and do ends of the earth, cross-cultural work. What does that mean in our terms? Well, leaders of the church need to be talking about this. One of my heart pains is to watch a missions pastor in, say, a big church, or someone with a missionary concern in a smaller church. They preach their heart out, and the senior pastor says, right, next Wednesday we have a cell group meeting. Pays absolutely no attention to what's been said. You know what happens? People think, well, it obviously isn't important if the senior pastor does that. Yesterday I was in a church about an hour outside Taipei City, and what was thrilling is we were talking about mission teams out of Taiwan into elsewhere, ends of the earth stuff. And what was thrilling was the senior pastor got up and he beat the drum almost as heavily as I did. In fact, after I preached, I think it would be fair to say, he said, I wish I'd heard that message 10 years ago, and was encouraging his folk to go on mission. So leaders must be involved. Number 3, teach regularly on cross-cultural mission. Teach regularly on cross-cultural work. Not just your regular teachers. You see, if I have mumps, I'm not going to cause you to catch measles. I'm going to cause you to catch mumps. So you need people, missionaries or staff members with real cross-cultural experience. You need people who've got the bug, who have a burden for it. You need to ask in missionaries. If you look at the end of Acts 14, let me just quote from my iPhone here. Finally, Acts 14, verse 26. Finally, they returned by ship to Antioch. This is Paul and Barnabas, where their journey had begun. The believers there had entrusted them to the grace of God to do the work they had now completed. The believers, Acts 13, prayed, fasted, sent them out. Upon arriving in Antioch, they called the church together and reported everything God had done through them, and how God had opened the door of faith to Gentiles too. And they stayed a long time there with the believers. Wow. Teach it. Let those who have experienced it report back to the church. Number 4, have a missions pastor or at least a missionary responsible person. Let me tell you what often happens. We have a kind of missions pastor, and that person is responsible for Alpha in the church, for outreach to the poor, the homeless, for cell groups, for this, for that, for the other. And the missionaries come back and they haven't even got time to talk to them. Actually, they're not particularly concerned about them. You need someone who really knows what they're talking about. I often quote a large church in England asked my wife and myself to go in and consult briefly on their mission policy. And basically I said, look, if you treat this seriously, you will, large church, you will have a missions pastor, and that person must have been on the field for 5 years. And I would add to that, and not be responsible for a lot of local work. You need someone who understands missionary life. You set a thief to catch a thief. You ask a missionary to care for missionaries because they know what the life is about and they're concerned about it. Number 5, go on a team. Go on a missions team. Out of your own country, cross-culturally. If you're Taiwanese, go to China. But if you're Taiwanese, you wouldn't be listening to this. 因为我那个时候要需要讲中文, I would need to be speaking in Chinese. If you're English, go to the continent, go to India, go to Africa. If you're American, go to South America, somewhere. Go on a mission trip. Oh, I could say so much about that, and will another time. But need to encourage those teams. Great thing yesterday, the pastor was thumping the fact that I think it was 8 or more people from his church needed to go on a mission trip this year with us. Number 6, release those who are called. If somebody is called to cross-cultural mission, please don't lock them in the church and say, we're not going to support you unless you work for 25 years locally in the church. Yes, have them work locally because we need to know they can do the job properly, but don't lock them in there. Release them. And number 7, support and train, or let me turn it around, train and support those who are called to cross-cultural work. Give them specific cross-cultural training. My wife Christine's going to be doing a number of teachings on this site, so have a look at that. See, to work cross-culturally is not the same as working with your own people. One of the things I often say is, we love Singapore, we've lived there 13 years, we love being there, but one of the things I've found is my British sense of humour bombs in Singapore. I'm in the middle of this really great joke and my friend looks at me and says, so how? Which means, what are you talking about? You need to be trained to work cross-culturally. We do everything different, not just sense of humour. So, number 1, talk about all 4 regions of Acts 1:8. And leaders get involved in mission. Teach on mission. Have a missions pastor or someone directly responsible for mission teams and for those you send out. Leaders and others, go on a team and talk about it in the church. Release those who are called, and before you release them, train. And after, I should add, Christine and will be talking about this also, support them when they've gone. Okay, that's the bare bones. Talk to us, ask at fieldpartner.org. Come to our website for some of that cross-cultural teaching. We'd love to hear from you. And again, if I missed something out, don't be backward in coming forward. Let me know, because I want to learn too. Thanks.